All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're doing a solo pod episode, and it's a little bit different. So I have a upcoming, well, probably when this comes out, it'll already happen. But I got invited to speak at the Manufacturing Association Wake Up to Manufacturing. It is a breakfast for leadership and other people who want to join who are part of the Manufacturing Association about culture. So I'm going to talk about culture and personal branding. I think I have about 15 minutes. So we're going to run down through kind of what I'm going to say, what I've learned about culture, retention, and personal branding, and kind of how they all intermix together. So let's run down through this. So thank you to the Manufacturing Association for inviting me. I think this is maybe the second time I've done any type of speaking or anything like that. So fairly new to it. So let's run down through what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to start out with a couple questions. I want to ask the group if they have heard. So really, I'm going to ask you, have you said or have you heard people say, and you can raise your hand while you're listening to this because that's funny when people do it, any of these questions or statements, I should say. Why is it so hard to find good people? Recruiting is such a pain. Nobody wants to work anymore. And why does no one work as hard as me? Have you said or have you heard anyone say any of those statements? That's the question I'm starting with. So let's start with culture. Um, I mean, no, we're not doing that. This is culture. I mean, essentially, all of these questions, all of these statements are wrapped around culture. And if you are feeling any of these, it's probably because you're having some issues with culture or with pieces of it. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, I want to start out. Obviously, I am Brandon Stanchuk, CEO of SWF Industrial. So, those of you who don't know, I've been in construction since 2008. I've been in industrial construction since 2018. I'm an amateur podcaster. Welcome. Amateur YouTuber as well, and lifelong gamer, as many of you may know. If you don't, I love video games. Just look at my background. So my core values are humor and filling potential, whether that be my own or helping other people fill their potential. And then we are covering culture and engagement and personal branding as a boost to those two things. So starting out with company culture and employee engagement, I say both those words together because I think those go hand in hand for a good culture. So what is culture? It is how people feel to work at your facility or your workplace or whatever that needs to look like. I think employee engagement is key. I think engaged employees affect everything in the company. That is safety, quality, efficiency, how much they want to go above and beyond. So it really, I think, answers a lot of the statements that we started out with around why don't people work as hard? Nobody wants to work anymore. I think that has to do with a lot with the engagement of your employees inside of your company. Why is culture so important? Some people still believe it's not. Some people believe it's this mythical beast that is so difficult and impossible to reach, and you can't have flexibility and accountability. So why even try? All that stuff does exist, and I don't believe in any of that. The reason I think it is so important is because it is a competitive advantage to your company. You can't go buy good culture. You can buy pretty much everything else. You could buy better, if you want to go spend a ton of money on salaries and employees and equipment and technology and all that stuff, but buying a good culture takes time. It is a continuous improvement process. You never reach the pinnacle, which is also what makes it hard. It's very much like a safety culture or safety program or any of that. It's you never reach the end. It's also talent attraction and retention. It enhances collaboration, and you have the lower efficiency loss due to conflict. So all those things are also helpful to the entire organization. Strategies to improve culture and engagement. So if you believe it's important and you would like to make it better, let's talk about actually how you do it, because I think that's really hard. A lot of people talk about culture and the things that go on to make it possible, but how do you start? And I think that's not something people talk about a lot. So whenever I'm in a situation where I have to take stock of something or I want to change something, first you want to baseline it. And what I mean by that is you take a poll of your current culture. You can do that a couple of ways. You can do a 360 of the company. You can ask AI to make a culture assessment, put it in, if you want to do it free, put it in, ask AI, come up with a culture assessment, tell it to put it in a Google Forms format, plug it into Google Forms, make a QR code, send it out for free, and then get participation from the entire company to fill it out. Make sure that you do not collect emails because you want to make it anonymous. Make sure you let everyone know that. And the first critical data point for your baseline will be how many employees actually participate. That is the first engagement metric that measures if people care or not. Because if there's not a lot of engagement in the test, that means people don't feel that if they even say anything, it'll make a difference. So baseline, identify problem areas, fix problem areas. And by doing that, how do you fix the problem areas? You build trust. How do you build trust? You create win-win solutions. If you need a breakdown of that, I just did a post recently on LinkedIn on the step-by-step guide on how to make win-win solutions. You have to be courageous. It is scary. It is not soft. Win-win solutions are very, very, very difficult, and you may have to get weird to figure them out. You have to have transparency for trust, leadership involvement for trust, and I do believe personal and professional development within the organization for your employees, leadership, and everybody. I really believe that piece goes beyond just showing up to work. If you're trying to help them fill their potential, and that means in the walls and outside of the walls in life in general, I think that goes a long way to build trust. And the last piece there is care. Once again, fill your team's potential. So I saw a great slide from Liz Weber. If you don't know Liz Weber, she's a big culture person, did a great presentation at a Lancaster SHRM, SHRM, I believe, conference a couple of years ago, I believe. And one of the slides put, how often do you hear laughter in your organization? Which I thought was brilliant, because actually at SWF, we laugh and joke around a lot. I think we do it on Teams calls. We do it in groups. There's laughter quite a bit throughout the office. So I think it's a real testament to your workplace environment. It was interesting. In my previous job, I remember getting yelled at for laughing because I would crunch away at making schedules all day, and I'd be listening to Stern, and I'd be laughing because there was something funny going on. And I remember getting yelled at for laughing because I was distracting people, which I was really irritated about. Not that where I worked had a bad company culture. It was just my boss at that time didn't want to hear that because he thought it was distracting, which, to be fair, probably was, but I was also happy. I don't think that should be a distraction, but understood. Common excuses for not building a good culture. People are too emotional. I'm sure you've heard that. We all have baggage, so you need to appreciate everyone's baggage. And by appreciate, I mean you need to let people have their baggage and work through it. Does culture really matter? Your bottom line thinks so. So you should probably pay attention to it. If you want people to work, I just want people to work, sorry. Happy people are efficient people. So if they're happy, they're going to be more efficient, which will also help your bottom line and your whole organization. It's too expensive. Culture training is too expensive overall. Not true. You can start a company book club for very minimal cost. It is probably the cheapest and most effective team collaboration and self-help process you can put your employees through. We're currently going through one. We've done 3 smaller groups of book club, and this is the first time we've done a larger group. And I would say it has been organizationally changing and life-changing for some people in the book club. For the people that have participated. Not everybody's participated, and you can't make it mandatory, and you have to read along with them. But it is a really cheap way to have extreme team collaboration. So I would say do it. So those are my culture pieces. I'm going to move on to personal branding as a kind of a boost to culture engagement and why I think it's important. So I started taking personal branding serious at the beginning of 2024. And why did I do this? Well, I was reading a LinkedIn post, and this person posted, if you are a construction executive and you want to attract better people and you want more clients, you should start a podcast, or, you should really take your personal branding serious. So I took that very serious. 1, I started a podcast. Here we are. And 2, I started taking my personal branding very serious. So I wanted to attract the best people. I want to attract the best customers. I'm not a salesperson. So I want to deliver these results in my own way. And so without being a salesperson, I didn't really know how to do that. And I figured I would try personal branding to do that. So that is why it was important to me, because I wanted those 2 first things really badly, and I wanted to find them in my own way. So what has worked for me? I've been really taking LinkedIn serious since probably January 2024. So it's been about 12 months. Been posting at least 3 times a week, which may seem like a lot, but we'll get into how to make that easier. And then I also respond to every comment. I also respond, I'm pretty sure, to like 95% of the DMs. And some of them are very salesy. Some of them didn't do their research. I do not take that personally. People are ignorant sometimes to the way or they were taught ways that maybe I don't agree with, but their bosses or they agree with in the sales approach. So I try to respond to everybody in the DM space, or especially in the comment space. If somebody leaves a comment on your post, you need to get back to them. One, it's selfish and helps the algorithm. Two, it is just common courtesy because everybody wants to feel important. So make them feel important by responding, even if it's a comment that kind of bashes your post. It's just a personal opinion. It's not personal. Just get feedback from them because maybe you're missing something. So you can learn something from everyone. So that has been very successful for me. I've grown, quite a bit in the sense of exposure, not only for myself but for the company. So let's get into what has it done. Here we go. So high pot or high potential candidates are coming to SWF. A couple stories on that. We had a BD position. One of our business development people is retiring, John, and he's been with us for, oh my gosh, a long time, over 30 years, 32, I think. And so we started, obviously, the hiring process for that. It was a very big position, especially for someone who's been there for so long. And I had a couple of candidates who came to us who were high potential people who were actually kind of out of the realm of what we do, but they were so interested in working with us because of the culture and because of the things that we put forward and the things we're working on and the way, my personal brand speaks, that they wanted to be a part of the venture. So that's awesome when you get people coming to you. So what does that mean? You have no recruiting company fees. You have less time advertising the position. You have people who want to come into the facility versus going and trying to find people. It makes that whole process quite a bit easier. And then we also had a fabricator recently who came to SWF, and usually within the first couple days, a week or a couple weeks, I try to get to the new employees just to, lay down, this is our culture. These are our culture videos. You can check them out here. This is our behaviors. This is what we expect from our employees, things like that. And, if you have any questions, you have problems with your supervisor, please go around them, that kind of conversation. And I went out to talk to this individual specifically about culture, behaviors, watching the culture videos. And when I started the conversation with this person, they stopped me and said, don't worry, I've been following you and the company's page around culture for quite a while, and I know exactly what's expected before I came in. So obviously I was super pumped about that because that means it's working. So you not only get high potential employees, you get employees who know exactly what is expected, which can take up a lot of busy time. So that was pretty cool. Also customers are, either following me or checking out some of my posts, which when someone checks you out on LinkedIn, this is pretty much the process. They see your posts, they say, ooh, that's interesting. They click on your name, they look at your overall profile and be like, okay, this is what they're into. And the second thing they do is go right to where you work. They want to know where you're working and what that company does. So it'll flow through right through you and then go directly to where you're working, which is a huge benefit to the company as well. Currently viewed as an SME for my niche, and then company efficiency ideas. So I've met a lot of people through podcasting and through taking social media and personal branding serious, and I've come up with very great solutions from subject matter experts in certain areas that I needed help with. One example being I had a contract person who was reading contracts in our company. She didn't have time to do that anymore because she was running huge projects for us. So I wanted to find a solution that wouldn't cost a lot of money. And I had a AI expert on my podcast who I met through kind of branding on LinkedIn, and worked with him to create a bot through Claude that would review our contracts for us. So I wouldn't have to go out and either hire someone or hire a lawyer to review contracts. Huge money saver. That is just one example. So how do you build a strong personal brand? One, profile optimization. So there's lots of people out there who can help you. If you have any questions, you can certainly ask me. But profile optimizations, and then sharing valuable content. So what does that mean? Define your target audience, define your niche of your content. What do you like talking about? What are you an expert in? Be authentic, show up consistently, and give away free advice and value. Bring a value to people and give it away for free. It's that simple. Next thing you want to do is make sure you're engaging with the community. Everyone deserves to answer, like I talked about before. Engage with other posts that affect you. If you see something that you're like, wow, that was really good, tell that person or post something about it. You don't have to have answers for anything. Sometimes you could just put an emoji because it made you feel a certain way. Like, just let people know that the value they brought in the post has affected you, good, bad, or indifferent, and let them know. So common excuses in personal branding. I don't have anything to say. Everyone has stuff to say. When you get in the mindset that everything is potential content, you will change your view of what's actual valuable. You will start writing things down because you go, Eureka, that could be a possible post. So anytime you have a moment where you say to yourself, how did they not know that? That's a post, because there's a group of people out there who do not know, and you are an expert. So give that value away. I don't like being online. I get it. Well, welcome. Then pay someone else to do it. So you can pay someone to be the person for the company, or even be the person for you. There's plenty of ghostwriting people out there that do that. But if you feel it's not something for you, then some of this stuff will not come to you as easily. You have to find other measures to do it. So it's totally fine if you don't want to, because online can be a gross and hostile place. I get it. But most of the time you will find people who value what you're doing. And the third excuse is I don't have time. Well, you can schedule your posts. Right now, I schedule my posts out 5 times a week, and I am out 3 months. So what that means is you take a day, take your Sunday, and spend a couple of hours coming up with, and once you realize everything's content, write those things down, and then you take those posts. And what I do is I take my ideas, I plug them into ChatGPT, and I say, let's make this into a post, because I've had a running marketing post for my voice. And essentially I have a ghostwriter that is free. Well, $20 a month. And then I'm creating posts that are concise and the way I want to talk, and I adjust them a little bit, but it gets my crazy post ideas down to simplicity and concise. And then I schedule them out, and you can schedule out, I believe, to 3 months on LinkedIn, because you don't want to, don't save it for day to day, because you'll have things that come up and then you won't do it because it's not top of mind or top of priority. So schedule out your posts. If you can stay a week ahead, that's beautiful. I'm only that far ahead because, I have other things that I have to backfill in, like finding podcast guests and doing podcasts and editing and all that stuff. So I want to make sure, and it's really important to me. So I put it at that priority. So in conclusion, culture equals engagement, and engagement equals efficiency. And efficiency obviously is what everyone is striving for. So your call to action: company culture can be your competitive advantage. I do think it's important. And personal branding is a boost to that culture attendance, because people want to know what it's like to work at your facility or work for you if you're a leader directly, and you can show them through your personal branding. So I encourage you to take a look at your LinkedIn profiles. LinkedIn is like the Wild West. It is untapped. It does not reach its full potential for a lot of people. So there's a lot of room for growth there. Other ones, not as easy. I would say LinkedIn is probably easier if you were in the professional world. You can find your voice very quickly. So final thoughts. Thank you. Thank you for listening. And then I want to leave a quote from Dale Carnegie, one of my favorite people who really changed my view on how to be social and how to really believe that and take it seriously, that everyone does want to feel important. People rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they are doing. So make your workplace fun, have a good culture, and boost it with your personal branding. That is it. Thank you all for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. See you.